When Hollywood set out to recreate the most pivotal invasion in military history, they assembled an army of experts alongside their cast. The Longest Day, released in 1962, remains one of the most meticulously researched war films ever made, transforming the beaches of Normandy into a cinematic battlefield that many veterans praise for its striking realism. Producer Daryl Zanuck consulted numerous Allied and German veterans who had participated in the June 6, 1944 landings. These weren't casual interviews. Former paratroopers, naval officers, and Wehrmacht soldiers spent months advising the production, scrutinizing everything from machine gun placement to artillery timing. Major John Howard, who led the glider assault on Pegasus Bridge, served as a technical advisor, lending authenticity to the film's military tactics. The production's commitment to historical accuracy bordered on obsessive. Costume designers used period photographs and sourced original uniforms and equipment when possible, matching insignia and gear to wartime standards. Authentic Sherman tanks rolled across French beaches, while cleverly disguised Allied vehicles stood in for unavailable German panzers, a common Hollywood sleight of hand that fooled audiences completely. What truly distinguished The Longest Day was its groundbreaking multilingual approach. Characters spoke their native languages, English, French, and German, capturing the chaotic reality of D-Day's international coalition. Military historian Stephen Ambrose praised the film's realism, calling it remarkably faithful to the actual invasion. Yet even this cinematic achievement took dramatic liberties. The film compressed events that unfolded over days into a single narrative arc, sacrificing chronological accuracy for storytelling flow. Some veterans involved in the production found the experience emotionally intense, reportedly reliving vivid memories of the original landings while filming on the very beaches where history had unfolded. Released in 1955, The Dam Busters earned acclaim as one of cinema's most technically precise war films. It dramatized Operation Chastise, the RAF's daring May 1943 assault on Germany's Ruhr Valley dams using Barnes-Wallis's revolutionary bouncing bomb. R.C. Sheriff adapted the screenplay from Paul Brickhill's book, which drew from extensive interviews with surviving members of 617 Squadron. These veterans served as technical advisors, ensuring aircraft specifications, uniforms, and mission planning were depicted with accuracy. While other films also used veteran input, The Dam Busters achieved exceptional military cooperation. The film's scientific segments impressed historians and engineers alike. Wallace's bomb development, from sketches to testing, was recreated with documentary-level precision. The rotating cylinder design and dam skipping technique were shown in detail, honoring the innovation behind the mission. Though emotional subplots were added for dramatic effect, the core mission remained intact. Flight formations, target approaches, and tactical decisions mirrored RAF records. Veterans praised the film as a faithful tribute to their fallen comrades and the operation's engineering brilliance. Some believe the film benefited from deeper government cooperation, particularly regarding classified aspects of Wallace's invention. John Frankenheimer's 1964 film The Train remains one of the most historically grounded World War II dramas, rooted in the real-life efforts of French railway saboteurs who risked execution to disrupt Nazi supply lines. The characters weren't fictionalized heroes. They represented thousands of resistance members who jeopardized their lives to derail German operations. Historical documentation confirms that the sabotage tactics shown, removing bolts, misrouting trains, cutting communication lines, were standard methods used by French railway workers between 1940 and 1944. These acts weren't cinematic embellishments but authentic strategies that often led to deadly consequences. Frankenheimer's casting choices added another layer of realism. Many French actors and extras were former resistance fighters, some of whom had lived through the very events they portrayed. Their performances carried a weight that transcended acting. The film's depiction of Nazi reprisals, executions of civilians and workers, mirrored the brutal collective punishments employed by German forces. These scenes weren't exaggerated. They reflected a grim reality. Some historians believe the film toned down certain events that were even more harrowing in real life. Military scholar Paul Fussell praised The Train for honoring the unsung contributions of ordinary citizens. Surviving saboteurs later described the constant psychological strain of living under Nazi scrutiny while secretly resisting. When 12 O'Clock High premiered in 1949, Hollywood had already produced dozens of war films, But this one struck a different chord. It didn't just show bombers dropping payloads. It explored the psychological toll that command decisions inflicted on both leaders and their crews. Producer Daryl Zanuck wasn't content with studio mock-ups. The production secured actual B-17 flying fortresses, and combat footage from real missions found its way into the final cut, lending an authenticity that staged explosions couldn't replicate. Some believe veteran pilots assisted with the flying sequences, though the extent of their involvement remains part of Hollywood lore. The story drew heavily from the real 306th Bomb Group's experiences, particularly their grueling missions from Thurley Airfield in England. Military historians consistently praise the film's unflinching portrayal of command pressure, the impossible calculus of acceptable losses versus mission success that haunted real-life commanders like Colonel Frank Armstrong, who inspired Gregory Peck's character. Decades later, the Pentagon still screens 12 o'clock high in leadership training programs. The uniforms matched regulations, specifications, military jargon flowed naturally, and base protocols were so meticulously researched that veterans recognized their own experiences on screen. General Frank Savage was a composite of several actual commanders, though the film amplified his personal breakdown for dramatic effect. Veteran pilots later confirmed the film's brutal accuracy in capturing the relentless psychological strain of flying daylight missions into heavily defended German airspace, where survival often hinged on luck as much as skill. December 7, 1941 changed everything. Not just for America, but for how Hollywood would portray the chaos of war. When From Here to Eternity premiered in 1953, director Fred Zinnemann and composer George Dooning faced a daunting task: how to depict the most shocking military attack in American history without reducing it to spectacle. Their solution was restraint. George composed the main score while collaborating with Robert Wells and Fred Karger for specific pieces. During the Pearl Harbor sequence, the music receded, allowing the terror to emerge through carefully designed sound effects, sirens, explosions, and silence. This wasn't typical Hollywood bombast. It was a calculated use of sound to evoke dread. Historians praise the film's credible portrayal of the confusion and lack of warning during the attack. Though the timeline was compressed for narrative flow, the chaos felt genuine. Military experts noted the realistic depiction of unprepared American forces scrambling to respond, while character arcs were interwoven with the unfolding disaster to heighten emotional impact. Some suggest the sound design bordered on psychological realism, immersing audiences in the terror of that morning. From Here to Eternity set a new benchmark for authenticity in war films, proving that sound could convey emotional truth more powerfully than music alone. Anecdotal accounts from veterans indicate that the film's audio evoked memories of their own experiences, a testament to Zinnemann and Dooning's commitment to emotional fidelity. Released in 1951, Go for Broke remains one of Hollywood's most genuine portrayals of World War II combat. Its secret weapon? A cast of real veterans from the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the most decorated unit of its size in U.S. military history. Director Robert Piroche didn't just cast these Japanese-American veterans for authenticity, he drew on their lived experiences. Lane Nakano, Henryoya Sato, and others brought real military discipline and camaraderie to the screen, shaped by their time in battle. The film's historical accuracy was meticulous. Uniforms matched military specs, and battle tactics were based on actual combat reports. The rescue of the Lost Battalion was depicted with remarkable fidelity to the October 1944 mission. What set the film apart was its willingness to confront racism. It showed Nisei soldiers facing hostility from fellow Americans, a reality most war films ignored. Historians like Eric Saul have praised the film's respectful tone. While some scenes were dramatized, veterans recognized their own stories in the film's honest portrayal, a rare feat in an era dominated by sanitized war narratives. When Fires on the Plain debuted in 1959, Japanese audiences were unprepared for its brutal honesty. Director Kon Ichikawa stripped away wartime heroics to reveal the collapse of Imperial Japan in the Philippines. Based on Shohei Uka's novel, the film followed starving Japanese soldiers during their 1945 retreat. Uka's own experiences shaped the story's grim realism. Veterans advised on uniforms and military behavior, ensuring accuracy. The film's portrayal of cannibalism and moral decay shocked viewers, sparking national debate. Ichikawa's clinical style echoed Allied documentary footage, creating an unsettling mirror between opposing sides. Historians later praised his courage in confronting truths often ignored by both Japanese and Western narratives. Though dramatized in parts, the film's depiction of desperation and disintegration aligned closely with historical accounts. Fires on the Plain remains a haunting reminder of war's dehumanizing toll. Sink the Bismarck, released in 1960, stood out as a landmark in historically grounded naval cinema. Director Louis Gilbert and producer John Brabourne worked closely with Royal Navy veterans and technical advisors who had participated in the May 1941 mission to hunt down Germany's most feared battleship. Official Admiralty records and first-hand accounts formed the script's backbone, transforming what could have been a routine war film into a near documentary. Every detail, from naval terminology to command structures, was vetted by those who had lived it. While some dramatic moments were enhanced for pacing and characters were composites, the core narrative remained faithful to history. Visually, the film broke new ground. Instead of relying solely on miniatures, it blended model ships with authentic naval footage, creating tension-filled sequences that didn't compromise historical integrity. Critics praised the film's balanced portrayal, noting its respectful treatment of German sailors, a progressive stance for its time that elevated it beyond standard wartime fare. When The Cruel Sea premiered in 1953, naval veterans didn't just watch, they recognized their own stories. This wasn't another stylized war film. Director Charles Friend delivered a sobering portrayal of convoy duty in the North Atlantic. Based on Nicholas Montserrat's novel, drawn from his own wartime service, the film captured details most productions overlooked. Real Royal Navy ships served as sets, with HMS Coreopsis and HMS Port Chester Castle standing in for fictional vessels. Technical advisors, actual naval officers, scrutinized every scene, ensuring procedures, arrangements, and even knot tying matched wartime standards. Authenticity showed in subtle ways. Naval slang flowed naturally, uniforms bore correct insignia, and the bone-chilling Atlantic environment was vividly recreated. The film depicted the relentless conditions that defined the Battle of the Atlantic. Veterans praised its honest portrayal of exhaustion and moral ambiguity. A controversial scene where a U-boat is destroyed despite survivors in the water sparked debate. Some called it ruthless, others saw it as a reflection of wartime necessity. Rumors suggest several scenes were drawn directly from Montserrat's experiences, though he never confirmed which. The film's commitment to realism extended beyond surface details. It captured the psychological toll that turned ordinary sailors into hardened veterans. John Ford's 1945 film They Were Expendable remains a benchmark for Pacific War realism. Based on the exploits of PT boat crews in the Philippines, it drew directly from Medal of Honor recipient John D. Buckley's experiences. Buckley served as technical advisor, ensuring every maneuver reflected real combat. Ford filmed with actual PT boats and at military sites in Florida, capturing the gritty reality of early Pacific battles. Uniforms and naval procedures followed official Navy standards. The film's evacuation scenes and last stands were inspired by real reports, portraying American forces as outgunned but unbroken. Historians, including Samuel Eliot Morrison, have praised the film's accuracy and emotional depth. They Were Expendable set a high bar for wartime cinema, blending technical precision with heartfelt storytelling. The Battle of Britain broke new ground in 1969, not just for its sweeping aerial combat, but for its bold inclusion of unsung wartime heroes. Hidden within its expansive cast was a groundbreaking portrayal of the international pilots who helped defend Britain, long overlooked in mainstream narratives. Roughly 18 to 20% of RAF fighter crews during the actual battle were not British. Polish pilots, hardened by their homeland's fall, flew alongside Czech airmen who had escaped occupation. The filmmakers recognized this wasn't mere historical footnote, it was the overlooked foundation of Britain's survival. Actors worked with language coaches to reflect authentic accents and speech patterns, though some liberties were taken for clarity. Surviving Allied pilots consulted on set, sharing first-hand accounts that shaped pivotal scenes. One veteran confirmed that Polish Squadron 303 was the top-scoring unit of the battle, downing more enemy aircraft than any other. Historians like Derek Wood and Derek Dempster praised the film's attention to these contributions. While composite characters were used to represent entire national groups, the emotional and historical truth remained. Archival records support the film's portrayal of camaraderie and occasional friction within the diverse RAF ranks. Some Polish pilots initially faced doubt from British commanders who questioned their abilities after Poland's rapid defeat. The film's multinational casting was ahead of its time, promoting unity against fascism during an era still shaped by Cold War divides. These weren't just background figures, they were the overlooked aces who helped turn the tide. The Sea Shall Not Have Them, released in 1954, earned recognition among film historians as one of the more authentic portrayals of RAF air-sea rescue missions. This British war drama drew inspiration from real-life operations that unfolded across the North Sea during World War II. Production records show that RAF veterans who had participated in actual rescues served as technical advisors. Their first-hand knowledge shaped the film's depiction of survival tactics and the psychological strain of waiting for help in freezing waters. Costume designers sourced genuine RAF gear, though some pieces were replicated due to post-war shortages of original 1943 and 44 issue equipment. The film realistically conveys the physical hardships endured by downed airmen. Contemporary critics noted how actors visibly struggled with waterlogged gear, their performances echoing the documented symptoms of hypothermia and fatigue. Veterans praised the emotional accuracy, especially the tense dynamics among stranded crew members. Some believe that certain dramatic scenes were inspired by classified rescue reports that remained sealed for decades. While the film condensed survival timelines for pacing, real missions often stretched for days. Historians emphasize how the film spotlighted the often overlooked dangers faced by both airmen and their rescuers. Its focus on air-sea rescue operations filled a cinematic void, shifting attention from aerial combat to the perilous aftermath of being shot down over open water. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to get notified of our new videos each week. Thanks for watching.